We are back with another episode of Shieldcast, and this is kind of a continuation of the previous episode.
Yeah.
But before that, welcome to the Shieldcast podcast. Everything's also with everything cybersecurity, and this is where you come and find everything related to cybersecurity, sometimes divert into tech, and I have been your host, George Ndongo. I'm a software engineer and a cybersecurity researcher, and I'll let Kevin introduce himself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I think we've been meeting severally, and this is our next episode or part 2 of our 18th episode.
Yeah, so this is the 19th episode,
So my name is Kevin Mugo. I'm into cybersecurity. That's like one of my main activities that I do, and it's been a good journey so far. And we're here to like share insights with what you've been able to experience in regards to the field of hacker groups, especially when it comes to the global perspective. So in our previous episode, we were able to look at the people like the Lazarus group and the Anonymous, and how they were able to compromise systems and the rest here and there. So today we'll look at 3 more in our playlist for today. And I believe it will be a good one.
So be sure to check the previous episode. This is a continuation, so you should check that one. But it's not a prerequisite, but I think you should check it out. So that is it. I think we should maybe mention our sponsors before we go on.
So this podcast has been brought to you by the Coding and Car community, a community of developers, people in the tech industry, different fields who come together to network, to build each other and share insights of maybe the trends, what is coming forth and the rest, and also gaining of skills. And there's also the Funlinks Entertainment Group that mainly focuses on training for kids. So maybe during these holidays you have a child who is at home and maybe is let me not say eating a lot but would like to join or gain a new skill or just to keep the child busy, feel free to reach out and be able to like connect with the same.
We're going to cut that part. But anyway, let's dive into this episode. Welcome.
Thank you.
The Dragonfly Hacker Group. I think it came to be noticed in around 14 by researchers. But started its operation around in 2011. So majorly this is focusing in the past with some of its activities more of down in the recent times. So with this, I think they have been dominant around 2017, and with recent activities, I've not heard of them, but around 2017, the Dragonfly 2.0 was released, and one of its characteristics, or the Dragonfly Hacker Group, is attacking the energy sector, especially the critical infrastructure, the energy sector and the fuels and all that. So some of its activities are majorly in the energy sectors, but other activities on the side. But I think when you mention Dragonfly, you have to talk of the critical infrastructure.
So because this group was well known or it came into the limelight in 2014, maybe it was not their objective to become known, but just to carry out their malicious activities in the long term with secrecy. And as you have said, they affect the petroleum and energy sector. And one example is back in 2015, that is when they interfered with the Ukraine electrical grid. So that's an example of what they're targeting. And one other characteristic of this group is the fact that they use commonly available security tools, either Windows or Linux based. So Linux is also another operating system, but it's somehow more specialized, either for managing servers or systems, but also there's the aspect of cybersecurity, where it's used to provide certain tools that are used for various purposes. So they have been able to use various tools such as PowerShell. That's one of the tools that is used in Windows to carry out various attack processes or even maybe system maintenance. And then there's also another one called the PS exec. PS exec is also another commonly used tool. And apart from this is the fact that they also use open source tools. For example, fishery found in GitHub.
Yeah, I
and,
think it's publicly available.
Yeah, it's publicly available, so you can use it maybe for ethical purposes, like trying to learn about new things, you know. And social engineering has also been one thing that
Yeah,
they've
I think
also
they're
been
one
doing.
of the groups that employ the phishing attacks so much, and they kind of tweak their attacks to suit the industry.
Yes.
Because you mentioned in earlier episodes that the human is one of the human factor in cybersecurity is one of the weakest entry points. In fact, it's one of the weakest. It's the weakest entry point in cybersecurity.
Sure.
So this group kind of went major on that, on the phishing attacks. Yes, apart from the open source tools, they went major on the phishing attacks and tried to capture this critical infrastructure.
Yeah. So apart from the human aspect, there's also the hardware, the software,
Yeah.
and the network, which
Yeah.
are other lines of the other lines that you can use maybe to attack. And from there, once you have maybe gained access to one, you can try to raise your privileges so that you can be able to access deeper and deeper permissions, or even more systems that are maybe directly connected to the one that gave you an entry into the initial system.
Yeah. So speaking of critical infrastructure, they attacked the two websites went down for the San Francisco International Airport, and with this hacker group attributed to it. They as you said, they more focus with the infrastructure, because maybe when you attack an airport, it's a critical infrastructure as much as it's not critical maybe maybe compared to the health or the electrical grids, the one in Ukraine in 2015. Yeah, but it is as important as they are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think we'll keep it short for this one.
Yeah.
I think if we don't have anything to add about the Dragonfly, but two more hacker groups we're going to do in this episode.
Yes.
And I guess we just get on.
Sure.
Yeah, the Morpho Hacker Group.
Yeah.
Primarily focused, I think, on intellectual property.
Yeah, that's their main target, and not only intellectual property, but also big organizations. Yeah. So attackers work with seasons, and through these seasons they usually faces. For example, we can say by the end of this year, want to attack organization 1, 2, 3, or achieve this or that objectives. So, for instance, this is a hacker group that has been known for taking up intellectual property, and also it's been a multi-billion-dollar company that. It's not a company, but an attacker group that has been underwaters for a very long time. But they were a little bit active from March 2012. Yeah.
So I think what has kept them maybe at par is because they are well resourced, because they have attacked multi-billion companies, as you have said, and these attacking intellectual property maybe for resale and selling to the highest bidder. That is what has kept them going for the longest period.
And also when you talk about being or having this resource, first is financially, of which they can now be able to even access the personnel and the rest, and then secondly is that they have a very well skilled group of people, because they have been able to maintain their tracks for a very long time, since March 2012. And I think later on in 2015, that's where they hit it very hard, when they're able to attack various big organizations such as Facebook, Twitter. There was also Windows and Apple. So you see, it's like a sequential. So maybe when you see, remember there's a Swahili word saying, kiona kichwa cha mwenzako kikinyolewa, chako kitie maji. I think maybe the fourth group would have been
because in 2013 they started with Twitter, and they characterized by maybe using the zero-day attacks. So I think one of the officials quoted, this attack was not a work of amateurs, and we do not believe it was an isolated incident. So they used the 0 days to carry out their attacks as their vector, and sure enough, following as you mentioned, the other three companies were followed by the similar attack. So I think that is it. That has been brief for that hacker group, the Morpho Hacker Group. But at this point, let us continue to the last hacker group of this episode, the LulzSec. The LulzSec Hacker Group. So the famous Sony attack, the Sony Pictures attack, Yeah, I think this hacker group is attributed to that or connected to that incident, and this is one of the major hits they did, along with other major attacks. But I think once you mention the Sony attack, you can maybe attribute it to the LulzSec group.
Yeah, that aside, I think there's also another hacker group in the episode that have also discussed that attacked Sony. So I don't know, it's because of maybe the brand and the rest. But there's a lot to watch out. So when you talk about the LulzSec, the Lulz is a name that means laughter. Then the sec bit security. So it's like more of mocking systems that do not have strong security measures. So you like become the laughing stock.
But the LulzSec has received a recognition in the industry for trying to create this awareness for the necessity of information security and maybe using strong passwords. So more of the gentlemen among all the groups trying to raise awareness among the people in the cybersecurity. So we also find out maybe before you add on that, they were associated with the CIA website attack. Sometime I think back in 2013, if I'm not wrong. It went down and they were the ones responsible for the CIA website attack.
Besides that, there was also the dimension of it being or taking down government and private agencies, like an all-rounded, so they can attack anyone at any time. I think there was one, you remember that you said that it was mainly focused on attacking just in the energy sector, others just the government.
So these ones are all-rounded, anything, anytime, anywhere. So I think why I'm calling them the gentlemen, because they released an article called the 50 Days of Lulz, when they were wanting to maybe stop their operations.
To like retire.
And retire like with honor or something. But with this said, there is another group that you can be maybe connected to them.
The LulzSec Reborn.
The Reborn. So though it's not known whether they are connected, but you can maybe attribute it to that and say this is the new LulzSec
because of the name. And also you'll observe that one of the attacks that they did back in 2012, the LulzSec Reborn, they attacked a military dating site. I think it was militarysingles.com. I didn't know that people in the military also do such things. Not really dating, but like even taking some extent, like even to websites. It's a very interesting kind of thing. And their main objective, I think, it's data disclosure. To date, it's not an exactly quantifiable amount, but they have been able to release a lot of terabytes of data, especially when it comes to confidential information that may lead to breaches, maybe the organizations that have been compromised.
The recent attacks, their recent activities, they have gone down. I think as they stated in the 50 Days of Lulz, I think they finished their activities in the cybersecurity realm. And when they were active, they kind of utilized major techniques, including exercise the cross-site scripting and also the SQLI.
And the cross-site scripting, there's also the SQLI, and there's the RFI, which is remote file inclusion, another form of attack that they usually take up as one of their traits.
So I think that is it for the LulzSec.
And also let's not forget that they also knew each other. They did not know each other. So there are like about 7 people from around various corners of the world. But they were just meeting on some chat rooms, just exchanging words here and there and the rest. And then they don't think they've ever met and the rest. So they just keep it internally among themselves, so that if you are caught, you not provide a lead. Hey, I also know this guy. He's from this country. That's where you can go.
They were well structured. I don't know why they completed the activities. I don't know why they stopped the activities. But they were well structured and they were well equipped with both knowledge and resources. So I think that is it for the LulzSec, and that will be the end of the hacker groups. So this is the end of the part 2 of the global hacker groups. Be sure to check the part 1, and as we promised, this episode will be having a Shilka spotlight. I think the 2 previous episodes did not have a spotlight, so yeah, this is the episode number 19. So this is the Shilka Spotlight, and yeah, so this is a list of the events that happened maybe in the previous weeks. Yeah, surely this year, but I think maybe previous weeks. So I'll just give the spotlight before we wind up. So hackers stole 340,000 social security numbers from a government consulting firm. So this was recent. This was so recent, but by the time of this recording, that is. And I think it was this week by the time of this recording. And as we continue, a new distributed denial of service attack (DDoS) was found on Discord, and it freezes the application and disables all functionalities. So this was posted by VX Underground. VX Underground is a research institution focusing on tools and cybersecurity research, and I think you can follow them on Twitter, and they posted an update of the DDoS on Discord. Yeah, you can follow up on that. And last but not least, the OWASP. That is the Open Worldwide Application Security Project, a non-profit foundation that works to improve the security of software, was breached. So you don't expect such an organization to be leaked. It's like to be breached. It's like breaching an expert in a particular field.
Or the good guy.
Yeah, or the good guy, exactly. So they acknowledged that they were breached, and I think a number of resumes were published on the dark web. And then as we wind up, lastly, AT&T. We have mentioned AT&T, the telecommunications company. We have mentioned it in a previous spotlight. I can't remember the exact spotlight, but we have mentioned it because it had been attacked. So they acknowledged that they had been breached, and they acknowledged that the breach affected 51 million people. So their engineers are in the process of trying to make their system and recover and make their systems more secure. But that has been it for the Shilka Spotlight. We will post the spotlight in our Twitter page, so be sure to stay connected with us. And any final words before we wind up?
It's been an interesting 2-part episode. And there's been a lot to learn. Different cultures from different attack groups, different locations, different operation methodologies, but all in all go down to having the best security measure for your organization. Just be